Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, I don't think we have any guests. Welcome guest! Have you ever dreamed of doing something almost impossible? I think most of you can relate to my friend Joseph Wynn. Wynn, but it's spelled this way. Joseph is 5 feet tall. He weighs 100 pounds. He has a craggy, pockmarked face, and he wears glasses with thick, very thick Coke bottle lenses. Joseph dresses very plain. Mr. Wynn, who speaks 5 languages, works for the Multnomah County TB Clinic, serving those refugees and immigrants that are the very hardest to reach. Joseph is a refugee from Vietnam himself, and he survived 8 years in a communist concentration camp. 5 of those years were in isolation. Then, after 3 brushes with death, Joseph finally escaped Vietnam on a leaky, rickety death ship jammed with 35 other desperate boat people. After 2 years in the refugee camps in the Philippines, Joseph found himself in Oregon with no family, no friends, no job, and no money. One day, Joseph went to a public health clinic in Salem for a physical examination. The doctor was a huge, very good-looking fellow with perfect teeth. And he said, "Joseph, what are you going to do in your new country?" "I want to teach French in the university." "Ho, ho, ho, well you do. Good luck." "You've got a long way to go because you can't even speak English." Joseph didn't laugh. His face flushed crimson. He glared at the physician. "Don't laugh at me. I'll come back here in 5 years to see you. I'll be a professor." Joseph stormed out the door. He felt nauseated. The laughter burned in his ears. In Portland, Joseph worked days as a dishwasher. He worked nights as a janitor. On weekends, he picked fruit and did odd jobs. And he saved every penny he could for an education. Joseph lived in a flop house in Old Town. On many sleepless nights, the humiliating sounds of laughter gnawed away at him. He told anyone who would listen of his dream to become a professor. Most people laughed or told him he was too old. But one day Joseph met Paul Zwang, the refugee coordinator for the city of Portland. Paul didn't laugh. He co-signed a student loan, and Joseph enrolled at Portland State University. Although Joseph held a doctorate in French literature in Vietnam, he started at the very bottom, studying English as a second language and working on a bachelor's degree. But one day in the cafeteria, he bumped into the chair of the language department. And after a 20-minute conversation in French, Joseph was allowed to test out with many of his requirements, and he entered the master's program. After just 9 months, Joseph had completed all of his requirements with a perfect 4.0. and he received a job offer. But the laughter was still ringing in his ears. And his friend Paul urged him to pursue the doctorate. And then Joseph caught a very huge break. He was awarded a coveted teaching fellowship at the University of Oregon. Teaching by day, student at night, he again completed his required coursework with a perfect 4.0 in a year and a half. Joseph cleared his last academic hurdle when he completed his 560-page dissertation, which was published in 3 languages. But the laughter. He was still haunted by the laughter. So, one warm spring day, Joseph decided it was time to pay a visit to the clinic in Salem. Driving down I-5 South, his hands were shaking and clammy on the steering wheel. His heart pounded in his chest. And as he pulled up in front of the clinic and looked at the front door, it skipped a beat. Joseph took a deep breath. He walked inside the clinic. And as luck would have it, the physician was working that very day. But, to Joseph's great dismay, the man did not remember him. So, Joseph told his story. He showed the big man his diplomas. The doctor was absolutely fascinated. He heartily congratulated Joseph, and he shook his hand. And just then, something very strange happened. All the anger and bitterness that Joseph had been carrying flowed out of his body. He realized how this doctor's unthinking laughter had lit a fire under him and changed the course of his life. He smiled at the big man. He walked up to him, reached up, and he squeezed his shoulder. And then he said, "Thank you for laughing at me." The 2 men laughed so hard, tears came to their eyes. After a winding, bittersweet odyssey of 5 years, my friend Joseph Wynn finally had the last laugh. Have you ever dreamed of doing something almost impossible?